Which it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Ugh. Still feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm sorry, that's not pleasant. So, so my kids, for some unfathomable reason, is that speaker working if I invite people in? Because I got to send links. They're watching that bizarre show on strange addictions. Oh my gosh. I nearly threw up. There's this one gal. I couldn't watch the show. It got like 30 seconds into it, and she's talking about how she eats baby diapers. She chews up. I don't even know if I can talk about it. Oh my gosh.
She particularly likes the pee diapers.
And they weren't her kids' diapers.
She
doesn't have kids yet. She's pregnant. She's about to have her first kid. And so I'm like, where does she get the diapers? Where is she going to get these where does she get these diapers that she's literally freaking sucking on? Oh my gosh, I have to stop. I've never been that disgusted by something that I just watched on TV. Oh my gosh, I am literally tearing up. I'm not crying. I'm just it's like some reaction. Oh my. I had to turn it off, and like my wife's like, no. Yeah, they're flipping around to this other stuff, like this lady that eats sand, which, whatever. I hate having sand in my mouth. It's just disgusting. So I need you to send the link via Twitter to Edwin and John Malin. Aloha, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry for the disgusted look on my face. That lady needs Jesus. I hope she doesn't have Jesus already, because that would be incomprehensible. Another gal.
I'll invite Master.
I don't care. Go ahead. Another gal was eating clay face mask, like by the scoop, like giant scoops. You know that stuff you get, mix it with water, and you put it on your face. Not me, but girls do.
Can't watch that.
And she's just like sitting there dumping big old chunks of it, piles of it in her mouth, and just going, like, mushing it around in her mouth like she's like having the most pleasant experience ever. It's like she's all, it tastes like wet dirt. I'm like, oh.
What's John's?
Just Malin. Just type in Malin. Oh.
What are you doing?
Strange addictions. Oh, Edwin.
What did I come into?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My kids were watching this Strange Addictions show.
Right.
Have you ever seen that? It's on Netflix, I guess. It is. Okay, I just have to tell you, and I'm sorry if I throw up while I tell you. There's this woman who likes to sniff and suck on dirty diapers.
Okay, I'm good. I don't need more.
All right, good. Okay, we'll stop there, because I was like gagging and about to throw up. I've never just watched something and it made me literally want to hurl. Like feeling like my eyes were tearing up and my stomach's like, and I'm like, it's like, so.
Why do you tell me these things when you know that I will kill you?
I apologize, my friend. It's something I did not want to witness. And I'm like, just turn it off, turn it off, turn it off.
Oh, so today is a weird day.
Yeah? What are you addicted to today? The twacker.
Are we live? No.
Yeah, we are. We are. We're online.
Oh, man.
I apologize.
Mike. Oh, man.
An interesting one, though, since if you don't want to get onto that topic quickly.
Well,
this
so
other
there's a site named after a fruit. There's a fruit farm, right?
Dole.
And somebody sent me to a link to it, and I see like all this disordered stuff on there, like, you know, people leaking posts from like private chats and stuff. And my public persona and my private persona is pretty much the same,
Right.
and so I don't typically say anything to be ashamed of, but it's irritating. It's irritating that someone couldn't respect confidences, yeah?
Yeah.
Because people tell me crazy stuff all the time, right? And I just keep it in confidence. Because I figure, you know, people are all floating. People aren't always the best version of themselves. People need to vent sometimes, and just keep it in confidence. And it's weird. It's weird to see comments, you know, comments from myself are made in private. Nothing to be ashamed of. I think all that's up there for me is I'm pausing, you know, to reflect on stuff. And so absolutely nothing negative. It's just irritating.
No, it's just private conversations are meant to be private.
Yeah.
Liam was asking me on Twitter. He's like, I don't know, you know, he doesn't see the problem with it. Like if somebody's, you know, lying about you, he's like, I'll just drag the, you know, I'll just copy the DMs and post it. I'm like, it's just private conversations are intended to be private. You have to respect that. And if someone is lying about you and you have evidence in a DM that they're lying, I'm like, just tell them in public that you have this evidence that they're lying and ask them their permission to share it. And if they don't give you permission, then everybody knows they're lying. Right? It's pretty easy way to get around that without, you know, being the sharer of private information.
Yeah, I just wish people would be less disordered.
Yeah.
People create all these problems for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I know we are, I don't know. I certainly don't want to be a leader in this community, but we are the public face because we choose to be on YouTube. And so it seems like all the stuff ends up getting dumped on us, and people want us to fix stuff when they have, you know, crap that doesn't involve me, frankly, or you. And yeah, we want to defend each other, and we want to, you know, we want to keep our guns facing out, right? But man, I have enough kids. I don't need to babysit everybody in Comicsgate.
Well, I think there's certain expectations. I think fix it now. All right. Do we need a rusty chainsaw to repair that? Is that how the saying goes? There is some, you know, there's a reasonable expectation, I think, for people who have a public face. There's a reasonable expectation that because our voices get amplified, that we will take some time to listen to other people. Now, it can get magnified pretty quickly. You know, if 50 people message me in one day, I mean, that is hours to process.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, my
I
wife was
tend to
like,
like to sit down and think about things first. I think a lot of the problems come sometimes is because people are very hasty and they feel like they must respond to every single thing.
yeah,
I mean,
my wife was on me about it too. She's just like, you know, can you just like put a message out there to people that you have enough stuff to deal with?
well, I will try. I will try because I want people to prosper and I want people to succeed. And I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like when it feels like nobody's listening to you.
Yeah, but I want people to focus on the stuff you agree on. Why? I mean, why drag this? You know, it's like the politics. You know, you agree with people on the left, people on the right. We all agree on about 95, 97% of everything in real life. It's just they focus on that 3 to 5% that drives a wedge between us. And I don't want that kind of a thing happening here. Everyone's saying mute Mike's kids. That's Edwin's got the TV on or something. It's not me.
Oh, are you hearing the TV? Sorry.
Edwin just got thrown right under the bus.
That's okay. That's okay. Might as well be me.
It is normally me, guys. So.
Since apparently I am more resilient than other people. If someone has to be thrown under the bus, I am the one of us who is most likely to come up with a tire in my teeth.
It wasn't bothering me, but people keep complaining about it. It's like, dude, for once my kids aren't making noise. So
yeah, for once it was me.
For once.
I hear Edward's toenails. That would be awesome if it was my toenails. That is my winkle stalk. She's running circles around the table.
Hello, John Malin.
It's Chup Chup.
John?
Hello.
What's going on, man? Do you have a taco in your mouth?
I'm eating a sucker.
All right.
So the is everyone aware that the Pope Wars have begun?
The Pope Wars?
Mm-hmm.
The Pope Wars. No, what are the Pope Wars?
Malin Militia has officially recognized Raven as best Titan.
Oof.
So this has set Pope Raven out on a all-out attack on Mike Miller, and Pope Fire is coming to Mike Miller's aid. It's very exciting Twitter drama.
Twitter drama.
Yeah, that apparently Mike is missing out on completely.
Sorry, I was busy watching some really, really disgusting videos on the Netflix. Have you ever watched this? What is it called? Addiction? What?
My Strange Addiction.
My Strange Addiction.
No, I've heard of it though.
I would highly recommend not watching it.
Oh, okay. I will keep eating suckers.
That's a much better addiction than some of the other. Oh man.
Yeah, you don't want Mike to tell you about it. I heaved from his description of the description.
And I watched her do it, and so I almost threw up.
Oh no, they actually showed her doing it?
Yeah.
Why would you watch that?
They put it on. The kids were just flipping through it, and I was like, oh.
Doing what? Now I gotta know.
No, it's not good. It's not. It is unclean. It is an abomination. In the biblical sense, it is an abomination. Oh,
no one's gonna tell me what this is.
She sucks on dirty diapers.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. And she doesn't even have any kids, so I don't know where she's getting them.
Oh no.
No, she goes to her friend's house because her friend has 2 kids.
Oh, wow, great.
She picks them up.
We don't need more information, young man.
See, this is why I don't draw feet.
What?
What?
Risey Lee for Australian $2. Here it goes. Hail Raven.
Mm.
Yep.
Oh.
The Pope Wars have begun.
I didn't start that, did I, with my little Raven gif?
I don't know. I'd have to look back in the timeline and see exactly what set it ablaze.
Yeah, well, Pope Fire was trying to quell the Twitter feud that was burgeoning up because of the war campaign and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, "Here, have a Starfire," and she posted a little dancing Starfire. So I responded with a Raven gif.
Hmm.
That might have actually started this whole thing.
Oh, so yeah, so she shouldn't be on your side then if you're posting Raven gifts.
Well, she knows I did it just as a lark.
Hmm.
Yeah. See, after all this diaper talk, now people are asking us, begging us for drama talk or infighting talk, anything but diaper talk.
Anything's better than sucking on dirty diapers. I would agree. I would agree.
It looks like the Twitter sphere is also excited about the newly announced Star Wars Drawn and Quartered episode coming up next week.
Yep.
Star Wars, huh?
That would be fantastic. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm trying to get a special guest host, but I don't want to say it publicly in case it probably won't happen. So, but or not a guest host, a guest judge.
We have judges now?
Well, if we got this guy on, he'd be the judge. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Salacious Crumb. Yes, it's Salacious Crumb.
Well, have them be the moderator then, because you don't want to have a judge, because that removes the you can't have a judge because that breaks the dynamic.
Well,
yeah, if you got like a celebrity that can come on, I can sit out next week.
Yeah, but a moderator's not going to want to come on and read chat, you know.
Yeah, you have a job, Edwin.
Yeah, I'm just saying having a judge though breaks the dynamic. The audience wants to decide.
Well, we could have two prizes. We could have a judge prize and we could have the audience judging prize. So
okay, that'll work. Yeah.
P Money says my vote is the judge.
Yeah, and we don't even know if that Ewok is going to show up or not. So,
Comics Legend asked, when is Dan Fraga coming on to drop? He said next week. We'll see. Because he said next week last week, but then he got busy. Yeah, I got a couple other pros that are trying to find the time, deadlines and whatnot make it difficult for some people. So I do want to have some cool guest artists coming in from the rest of the world.
All right. So what is the infighting this week?
Oh, are we going there?
Yeah, let's do infighting. That's always fun.
Infighting.
We'll see.
Well,
it's a day of the week with the Y in it, so it's war campaign versus everybody.
I honestly don't pay attention to the war campaign like at all. I have Ro on. I like Ro. The other guys I have. It's not like I have anything against them. It's just that I only have so many hours in a day, and I can't spread it that thin. So, what is going on with the war campaign?
Oh, I was just kidding. Oh, okay. No. I think some people were complaining about the war campaign, but I was thinking to myself, comics in general is a small community, and then Comicsgate is a subset of that.
Yep.
I don't know that that most of 99% of the conversation is probably incomprehensible to anybody who's not immersed in it. And sometimes I wonder, like, if it's a fan talking to a fan and somebody says something you don't like. Sometimes if you could, just don't respond to it.
That's ideal.
Yeah. Like I did a live stream tonight. In the back half of the live stream, you know, like say someone comes in the chat and they're like, Edwin is the biggest diaper sucker ever. And I could be looking at that and I'm like, I'm not a diaper sucker, you meanie heads, or whatever you would say there. And you know, I could get all bent out of shape over that and want to argue with the person in chat, or I could just manage my emotions.
Yeah.
Right? And say, is it something I need to respond to? Right? Is it something I need to respond to? And I think I just mean myself, which
95%.
I just mean myself, which is amazing. Oh, Sierra Whiskey, I didn't mean to delete that. I apologize. I meant to show that.
Oh no. What'd you say, John?
I said 95% of the time these things don't need to be responded to.
Yeah. It is true.
There's gonna be people in Comicsgate that are just oil and water, and you're never gonna get along. And so, like, something that's a personality conflict, there's never an end to that argument if you decide to pursue it, because you don't get along. And you're not going to start getting along. So the only thing you can really do is just not respond to each other.
Yeah, or gosh, I hate to say, like, I hate to like mute people in the community. I like people who are against the community, but man, don't throw gas on fires, man. Just smother them, put them out.
Yeah.
Can't we all just get along?
And like, not every forum is for fighting. Like, if we're having a chill evening in the Aloha chat, that's not the best place to have the best place to have a scrap with somebody.
No,
maybe save it. Save it for after Aloha chat and take it. Maybe you take it to Twitter. Twitter is a great place for fighting.
Yeah, take it to Twitter. That's what it's there for. I never want people fighting in our chat. Edwin and I will do the fighting for you. Oh no, Malin and I.
Yeah,
I don't get in much fighting, like real back and forth with people.
No.
When I do, I mean, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, maybe I'll really get into something with somebody. But for the most part, I stay away from all that stuff, and I think it's worked pretty well for me. I haven't had to mute or block anybody. You know, usually I just withdraw. You know, if someone is doing like an obvious bait to me. But you know, there's not much winning in winning an argument, because you know, part of being in Comicsgate is, you know, that we set ourselves aside because we are the quote pros, and one of the, you know, main things about Comicsgate is that pros attacking fans. So if it's someone that I perceive as being a fan, then I really have to be careful about any kind of negative engagement on them. And I think that works better for me overall. You know, I try to, if I go after someone, it's usually an upward swing or a lateral swing. It's it'll be at another pro or someone like that, someone that I'm not going after a fan. So, and I count anyone that's, you know, putting out books, you know, as a pro. So, I mean, that's where I draw the line. If you're in my sphere, then you lose that fan title, and now you're a professional. So if you're out there trying to make money on books just like I am, then you're a pro.
So you're saying spears are for peers?
What? Sure.
Well, I would like to let you know that there is an update on the poll from last night, and
brother. For everybody else, For Mike, this was the most important day of his life. For me, it was a Wednesday. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. What font did you use?
Impact.
Are you going to show the poll, or are you just going to
Well,
cancel it?
I mean, I can't do it because the controls are over there, but I can just let you know. Refresh results here. 54 votes for me, 51 votes for Malin. So
How many of those votes were from your cats, though, Mike? How many of those votes were from your cats?
Mm-hmm.
my cats love me. What are you talking about? I'm gonna post a poll up again so your fans can.
Just throw it in the chat. Let's see what we can do. What kind of damage can be done?
The poll's gonna be up there for 3 years. It's like,
That's all right. That's a good one. That's building up anticipation for the next one, especially with it being Star Wars. I think that's going to be a good turnout, man.
yeah. I think it's the first time I've promoted a week in advance, so I'm gonna stick that out there every day.
All right, and is that going to be Wednesday at the standard time?
Yep. Wednesday, 7 o'clock.
10 p.m. Eastern.
Now, that is the time it's always been, right? Or was it? Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought for a minute that it might have been an hour earlier, but
I don't think so. Maybe once we started it early.
we started the stream early and we started the contest at 7.
Yeah. All right. So what is the other community conflict? Some of the
Cecil, Tim, Narkish fiasco continues.
Yeah. And I think some of that is what's spilling over into the fruit farm place.
I honestly don't know what you're talking about. Your euphemism of the fruit farm.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Kiwi Farms. I just heard about this place, and then I saw a link for it. What is Kiwi Farms?
I think it's something like something awful. I'm kind of like a boomer. Somebody was saying it's like a dachshund site, but it didn't really seem to be about dachshund. It just seemed to be about like laughing at people doing boomerish and dumb stuff, which makes me worry because I'm pretty boomerish.
You should be watching our show all the time, man.
I think the term is lol cow, that you can milk for the lols. Yeah.
So it's like a 4chan, I guess.
Ish. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you remember something awful? Kind of reminded me of something awful back in the day.
That rings a bell.
Kind of rings a bell. Yeah.
We'd have to ask the kids who are hips with the sites.
Okay, so anyway, so there's this site called Kiwi Farms. What's going on with it? What's the dealio?
There is this post that is like 350 pages long.
What?
On Comicsgate, but like there is recent leaks from like private chats and stuff. Yeah. Like
what's recent? Like a day, a week, a month?
Some of the stuff I saw was like the creator chant from the day that Vox Day announced Comicsgate Comics. And so somebody in the private chats was taking screenshots and such. I'm not completely certain how to navigate it, and you don't know if what you're seeing is real or photoshopped. So I guess you got to take everything with a grain of salt.
And we can't know for sure who posted it, right?
Yeah, because it can be made to look like somebody else is posting something. So I don't even know what level of trust to have in anything. It's just disappointing to see the
So
private.
what would the drama be? I mean, to the best of my knowledge, everybody's point of view regarding the Vox thing was that nobody really wanted to endorse anything to do with Vox.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so what, you're revealing that any back chatter was, hey, you know, we really don't want to be involved with this guy? Ooh, scandalous.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a little bit irritating. Got a $2 super chat from Phoenix Lord Esserman. Phoenix Lord Esserman. It's a site made to laugh at cringe. Lots of doxing.
Oh, you know what? If I join this chat from this computer, I can share screen.
Remember what happened last time?
Yeah, but I can turn the microphone off this time. No?
Mike, why don't you just get like an actual setup where you don't have to keep borrowing your children's computers?
Well, I could just go sit over there and do it, but he's using that computer. And then you wouldn't get my wonderful Donald Trump hat in the background.
But then I think there were some leaks of some Ethan stuff, Ethan DMs and stuff earlier. But again, I don't know what is what in there. I don't know what is what.
Huh.
Yeah, I wish I had more to comment on it. I just know that's bad pool, man, dirty pool when you're posting people's private DMs. And yes, I know, John, you shouldn't say anything you wouldn't say in public, and I don't. I just still think that's in bad taste.
No, I agree. It is in bad taste. I mean, it's a private message, but I'm just saying, everyone should be aware to never say anything that you wouldn't say in public, because everything has the possibility of being leaked out.
Yeah.
So, it's for everyone's own benefit. Be smart.
Let's see. And then what is the other stuff? There's members of the Comicsgate community who I think feel left out or feel irritated from bombastic statements from people. So
what's a bombastic statement?
Yeah, such
a bombastic statement would be like, I'm the leader of Comicsgate, or Comicsgate is mine, or something to that effect. Like these hyperbolic statements. And so it's an interesting thing, because there was a Comicsgate before there was a single comic book on Indiegogo. And you had these people who were talking about stuff. And so when Comicsgate first started, it was essentially people crap posting about comics and sharing what they thought was wrong, and nobody really had any no one really had any recourse, right? You complain about something, and then you can complain about something else. Yeah, the whole is Comicsgate dead stuff, which I actually didn't. The unranked Chevron guy, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a reasonable voice. He just has a different perspective. I wasn't upset to see him post that and thinking through it. It's just his perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we're all adults here. We can say things each other disagrees with without being freaking crybabies about it. We're not a bunch of SJWs, right?
Well, the whole thing sounds so odd to me. Maybe I'm not informed enough, but yeah, Comicsgate is this. Everybody is Comicsgate. We're all Comicsgate. But there happens to be a handful of us within the Comicsgate fan community, the critic community, whatever you want to consider Comicsgate to be, the fan revolt. There's a handful of us that decided we could try our hand at being independent creators. And we're also Comicsgate. And but I mean, there's like, what's the hang up here? We're allowed to, have our own endeavors as publisher, as a publishing arm for Comicsgate, just like Model 316, he's Comicsgate. He's welcome to make models, and we've all contributed, our properties to him to try to allow him to get, build up for a 3D printer which is to further people for Comicsgate. I mean, look at even someone like Nasser who writes all these different novels. You know, look, I mean, that's Comicsgate too. So, you know,
Yeah, did
Ethan,
Chelsea read one of his novels the other day? I've got to check that out.
But Ethan, myself, Mike, you know, we're all independent comic book creators that all happen to also be Comicsgate. Ethan has all the power in the world to say who he decides to have on his channel, and just like I do, just like Mike does, and that's that. Everybody else, I mean, we're all in the same boat. We're all the same people.
Oh no!
I just don't understand what the hang-up is.
Did you read that, Edwin?
Yeah. This is from Dennis Peruch at Blacklist Universe. Mike, Broward County found more votes. Malin took the lead. Apparently, there were some votes hidden back in the janitor's closet, and somebody found them, and so Malin took the lead.
I thought those were supposed to be thrown into the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. The Athletic Ocean.
I suspect there's a couple of things at play. It's just Comicsgate has gotten a lot larger, and there's there's so many voices now, and some people just may feel like their voice is not as important anymore, or nobody's listening to their particular concerns, and a lot of people have trouble finding their voices and articulating themselves well, and getting people to listen to them.
Well, I don't think you're going to find any community where you're not going to have a certain segment of it that's not going to be, 100% happy with everything going on. So, I mean, everyone's situation and story, they're all completely different from one another. So, we do our best to temper any issues going on for sure. But, at this point, I don't see the issues. I don't understand what they are. Comicsgate is definitely not dead. If anything, it's growing. It's getting better. Again, from the publishing side, which is, where I look at, the more people that are involved, it's that rising tide lifts all ships, and all these other smaller books get more and more attention. Books like Johnny Phantasm, Sovereign, all these guys that are coming out now. So they're having better shots than they ever would have had before, and that's thanks to Comicsgate. A group of comic book fans that have all come together and are all trying to support each other. Just like we support Model 3, if somebody else has a teddy bear line and it's Comicsgate, hey, I'll get them on my show and I'll try to promote them too. So other than that, I mean, it's the complaints of how the mainstream has been treating its fan base, and we are not that. So if anything, we embrace our fans, and we are our fans.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good when we hear some of the complaints that at least listen to people. You might not agree, but we can listen to people. So we got James S in the chat, and he says Comicsgate is not selling stuff. So he's talking more from the fan side.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not the whole point of Comicsgate, but that is it's a result of Comicsgate.
Well, it's Comicsgate is like a cube, or maybe like a dodecahedron. And it's got all these different sides to it, and not all these sides touch. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Someone but you have people like concerned about when we, as the talking heads, and that's all we are, is we're talking heads because we're the only ones. I mean, every single person in the chat, every single person in Comicsgate, YouTube is free to use. If you want to get on here and be a talking head, entertain people and they will come, right? But as the talking heads, a lot of this stuff gets laid at our feet. I had someone coming on Twitter today, and they're like, giving me all these complaints about Ethan. I mean, not about Ethan, but about stuff that is more related to Ethan. It's not like they were attacking Ethan, but they were saying like the stuff with the war campaign, with Sketch, with all this stuff, and they're like, if people are leaving, like in droves. I don't know where these droves of people are communicating, because it's outside of my sphere. And he's just like, why am I telling you? Because Ethan doesn't communicate with the fans. But it's like Ethan spends hours every single day communicating with the fans, you know. It's just weird because it gets laid at our feet because we're just the ones that are willing to spend hours each day talking into a camera, you know. I'm certainly not. I mean, the Indiegogo aside, spending hours each day talking to a camera is not making me a living, right? This is. I know, Edwin, you like to call it fan service, but I'm trying to share my life. I'm trying to build my community. What is that? Oh, you're watching a video. It's pumping through the same thing. And now my train of thought has completely derailed, and I
Oh yeah, there was okay. All right, so one person felt. One person, I think, who's it, Mr. Thundero, who's been a long-term moderator somewhere. I think he felt like he got silenced because he said something critical of the war campaign. And I like the war campaign guys. They are over the top sometimes, and I always encourage them to have a good rules of engagement. Since they're soldiers, they gotta be careful. They got to be careful where they wave their swords at, right? You can't cut everybody's head off. You got to have only stab the bad guys with the swords, metaphorically.
Yeah, the ones I've had, personal communication with, or who pop into the chat or whatever, I like. I don't have any. I don't. But I don't watch the show, so I can't be a judge of.
Gotcha.
What they say and what they do.
Oh, they go hard. They're warriors. They are YouTube warriors.
Ro's been on a couple of times, and I think Ro's a great guy. So, and then he's actually, I don't want to say anything he's said in private messages, but he seems like a genuinely good guy to me in the private messages that we've had. So,
I've spoken with Ro on the telephone a couple times. He is a thoughtful gentleman. You got to take a lot of stuff with a grain of salt. Some of the stuff is very performative, right?
Yeah.
I am just as boring in private as I am in public. I stay pretty much the same.
I'm right with you, and I think John too. What you see is what you get, except for John isn't actually a walking dead blonde woman. Yeah, I mean, this is my life. You just have a little window into it. What I say here is what I say if the camera was off. This is me. Sorry. I apologize. You're not getting anything other than I'm not doing any performance art here. You know.
Something I will tell people: if you get off to a bad foot on with somebody, and you're having like a squabble, give them a chance to de-escalate with dignity. And so if you don't want to be in a fight with this person anymore, you don't want to be contesting with this person, try and reach out to them in private and say, hey, even if we can't agree on this thing, can we bring it to a close, and can we walk away from each other, in peace? Because certain again, you're never going to, but you can't do that if you keep escalating with each other. And so a lot of times in conflicts with people, there's like a critical juncture where you can de-escalate, right? You can say, you know what, I'm sorry. And everybody hates saying I'm sorry for some reason. You can take responsibility for stuff. Whenever we're in a fight with someone, for the most part, probably somewhere we both contributed to it, right? And you can say, you know what, I'm sorry. Let me dial that back. Let me pull this back. We're not going to be able to give each other what we want. So why don't we just create some space between the two of us and keep each other's names out of each other's mouths, and we can go our own ways in peace.
Amen. You know what? Back to the topic. It's an addiction.
Oh, what's the addiction? Oh no, are you talking about diapers again?
No, the fighting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All the classic. It's the classic. You know, it's a classic addiction. It's like you see it, and that temptation is just a whiff of temptation, and it's like you're all in, right? You gotta cut off the addiction. It's nobody wins, and you know who loses? The community loses when we eat each other's lunch, right? We've got to just unite. We're not all gonna agree on everything. Get over it. Get over yourself, first of all. Just stop attacking people. Yes, you're going to disagree with them. Great. You know what? If you're going to spend 2 hours a day disagreeing with people, make it freaking the people who hate Comicsgate, okay? Not the people who disagree with you within Comicsgate, because we need to be united as a community. We are too young to start fracturing now. Please.
And actually, people can develop a neurochemical addiction to drama, conflict. Like you see where people keep tuning into like the old shock jocks or the real old some of the talk radio where people just get fired up and spun up. People can get addicted to that mental state, right?
Yeah.
And so people can get actually neurochemically addicted to this internet drama, this internet conflict, right? Because it gives them a very cheap kind of high, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Malin, didn't mean to take up all the microphone time. What's groovy with you today, Kip Cat?
Oh, well, the Pope Wars. that's about it.
Well, that's different. You know, that's all tongue in cheek. People.
Oh, I know. Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of all that drama stuff, like I said, I don't really get it. You know, if whatever this infighting is, I don't know what. Comicsgate is never going to be a hive mind. If there's elements within Comicsgate that are trying to do that, I think that it's the wrong direction to go. You're never going to get everybody to think exactly the way you want them to think. If you think that's going to happen, it's not going to happen. There's too many different ideas and different voices out here. So I think it's important that people within Comicsgate really take a look at themselves and know that they have to respect other people within Comicsgate, even the ones they disagree with. This isn't supposed to be a so much this political war. This is about reason within comic books. That's Comicsgate at its core. And we all know there's moderates, there's conservatives, there's liberals that all want the same thing, which is good storytelling, good art, and not being talked down to by professionals. So we all need to do our best to stick with that and understand that everybody else within Comicsgate is going and should be allowed to think differently. You can have your Hillary supporters. You can have your Trump supporters. That's Comicsgate. And if you're going to try to turn this all one way or another, it's not going to work out. You're only going to damage the community, and that's a bad thing. So, you know, temper your ideas and what you think Comicsgate has to be or should be, and look at the reality of, you know, this diverse community. Because we are diverse. We're intellectually diverse and racially and culturally diverse. We are the diversity, and
right.
We're going to be the front line of tolerance. So everybody needs to chill out a little bit if these things are getting out of hand before Mike cuts off his fingertip, and and everything's going to be groovy. And yeah, if you feel that there's something to attack, you know, again, I mean, we do have criticisms with the industry. You know, point your attention over there. Look at the bad behavior over there, because I mean, there's still an industry that can be saved. So, you know, I love Marvel. I've never been a big DC guy, but you know, I've got love for DC too. I want all these companies to do very well for themselves. And so, if you guys are, you know, still out there buying these comics, then your voice matters. So, you know, don't give up your fight for what you enjoy.
Amen, John Malin. I'm not going to cut my finger off. I'm just trimming my nails with a knife. Like I'm
a lot of aggression.
How many comic books did we go over tonight in the stream? John Malin was on with me earlier. We covered about like 8 comic books, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just from when I was on it, was probably 4 or 5 different campaigns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff out there, huh?
Yeah. And yeah, these are more people, more talented people that are coming up that may not have ever gotten a shot at, you know, a place like Marvel or DC. This is doing good work. This is doing positive things within the community. So, you know, is Comicsgate a business? No. Are we people that work within the realm of Comicsgate? Absolutely. We need to pay our bills to do this. So when we are sitting up here and talking to our cameras and for hours during the day, we need to supplement. We need to be able to make money. And that ends up being our products that we make, which are all in line with everything we're all here fighting for. Again, you know, good interaction with pros, stories that aren't talking down to you or giving you the middle finger, superheroes, you know, all the stuff that we like. So in order to do this, Mike needs to make money. I need to make money. Other people need to make money. Richard needs to make money. Everybody that is a figure, Doug Ernst needs to make money. You know, everybody that has a YouTube channel, everybody says, man, I would sure like to make money so I could do more time focusing on these things that I view as, you know, a mission in my life. So yeah, no, it's not a business, but without that business end, there isn't a way to go forward, because all the large voices in the community all need to be able to take that time away from their families and their job to come out here and to do these things and to talk for 5 hours a day. So that's why it's important that if you're in Comicsgate and if you're a voice within Comicsgate, yeah, find a way to make a living.
Yeah. So there are these multiple, and James Hayes presents another. He said there's a few of the old Comicsgate guard. They want to save Marvel and DC. And he says, well, some of the pros in Comicsgate now want to make their own market. I really don't know how to save Marvel. The more I've been digging into some of the ideas of deconstruction, some of this literary criticism, postmodernism, right? Derrida, Foucault, some of these theorists, you can really see that postmodern influence, and you can even see these Marxist elements, and it's so ingrained. It's so ingrained in all the people who are doing the writing, the editing, the hiring, and the teaming there, and just the way the comic book professional selection works for writers and for editors. I don't see how you get Marvel to make a significant change without like 50% of the writers and editors over there being fired. I don't see how that changes.
Yeah, and I've heard you say before where you don't want. I don't know if you were just saying it out of anger. I'm so angry. But where you didn't want Marvel to be saved. You know, you want it to implode. Or maybe that was somebody else. I think it was you, though, right? You have said that in the past.
As it exists, how can it be saved?
Well, as it exists, okay, the how can it, that's a different question. But you know what? They were probably asking that same question in the late 70s before they hired Jim Shooter to be the editor-in-chief. right? I mean,
It's
Marvel
no,
was
no, and I understand why you think that's valid. The people's philosophical and moral underpinnings have changed. Their underpinnings of reasoning have changed. So most of the people you have there doing the writing and editing are now between the ages of like 25 and 50. And so these people are essentially affected with this particular mind virus. So it's not like just saying, oh, okay, now I'm going to write good stories. I'm going to stop interjecting.
no. But what I'm saying is, all you need to write a ship like Marvel is the right captain who has the ability to steer the ship in the right direction and fire who needs to be fired. This is not the U.S. education system. This is a corporation. People can be fired on a whim. And a lot of them, like you said, 50%, I'm going to go with 75%. Or you know what you do? You do what good old Putin did, right? Putin came into power and he said, we're going to cut taxes to a 13% flat tax across the board. And he had a meeting with all of the Russian oligarchs, and he's like, you are all going to pay this tax. And then one of them got up and said, well, ha ha ha, I'm not going to pay this tax. So he took all that guy's stuff. And all the other oligarchs got in line.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go up there. I'm in charge now. We are not going to make this the SJW haven it has been. Tom Brevoort steps up and says, we're going to do whatever we want. Fire him, run him out of town on a pike, turn to the rest of the editors and say, what were you guys saying? It can be done. Will it be done? Slim to none.
Yeah, I don't know where it would come from.
But it's absolutely possible.
Every time Edwin pops up on the screen, his hair is crazier.
Is it getting wackadoodle?
It was pretty crazy.
It's just I have a lot of hair. Sorry.
I think DC's probably easier to save at this point. They aren't rolling off the cliff quite as quickly, but no, I think Marvel. Gosh, if what's his face, Perlmutter, yeah, actually it was like, hey, you guys are losing me money, and like put me in charge, or put Ethan in charge, or put John in charge, somebody with common sense and a vision that could actually grow their corporation. Make it the House of Ideas again, not the House of Vladimir Lenin.
Malin, have you ever read Proverbs?
Probably at church when I was a kid. Go ahead, inform me, Edwin.
No. Mike, you want to hear some Proverbs?
Love Proverbs.
I always, when I find myself wrestling with stuff and trying to think through stuff, sometimes I will just stop and read some scripture. And even if it doesn't bring me an answer, sometimes it will bring me some calm or some clarity. All right, so this is Proverbs 2. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom, and apply thine heart to understanding. Yea, if you cry after knowledge, and lift up thy voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver, and searchest for her as hid treasures, and the her here is wisdom, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord, and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord giveth wisdom, and of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. Keepeth the paths of judgment, and preserves the way of his saints. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. When wisdom enters into your heart and knowledge is pleasant unto your soul. And here's where it gets good. Discretion shall preserve thee. Understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaks froward things, who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, and they froward in their paths, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flatters with her words, which forsakes the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of God. For her house inclines unto death, and her paths unto the dead. None that go unto her return again, neither take they hold of the paths of life, that you may walk in the way of good men, and keep the paths of the righteous. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressors shall be rooted out of it. It is Second Proverbs.
So I'd go through Marvel with a metaphorically righteous chainsaw.
Yes,
and cast out the wicked.
that is what Solomon was saying. Absolutely.
Well, here's the problem. Marvel cannot incline its ear unto wisdom or apply its heart to understanding.
Yes.
Yeah. Nope.
No, it's good stuff. And I would, even if you're agnostic or an atheist, Proverbs is an interesting book to read. Psalms is a very beautiful book to read just for the poetry. And then Ecclesiastes is probably one of the most interesting books, and one of the examples of the English language now that, when it was translated into the King James version.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know if anybody caught my cross examinations today, but I had an old friend from high school who I used to go partying with and stuff, whom I used to agree with on issues of spiritual matters, but yeah, he had some questions in that regard today, and I ran through them. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but interesting stuff, because a lot of times people will ask these questions in anger, right?
Right.
And it's nice when I mean this venue where you're reading questions and you're able to give a reasoned, not angry response, as opposed to going back and forth on Facebook or going back and forth on Twitter, right? I think it's much more edifying and much more reasonable. It's almost like having a conversation, but you don't have to go back and forth, right? You're like, be slow to anger, quick to forgive. Yeah.
Yeah.
A soft answer turns away wrath. And I think,
Yes.
yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, I thought that was a good episode today. So
Cool. I will try and check that out tomorrow.
Malin saw some of it. He popped in there for a minute. Yeah.
Tail end of it, yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was like the first half.
Yeah, when I came in, you were talking about drawn and quartered.
People ask questions. I try to stick to the subject, but yeah.
I think Drawn and Quartered is one of the best things in Comicsgate right now. Absolutely.
Man, are you tweeting this freaking poll out or something?
What? I'm monitor. What's going on?
Looks like Broward County found some more. All right, I'm gonna tweet it out too then.
Oh, I'm not tweeting anything out. What happened? Are you losing?
We don't need to talk about it.
Is it in the thing? The link to the deal? I gotta know now. I see an Indiegogo link.
I'm posting it right now.
Oh, okay.
Copy Center says, I agree, Mike. Learning that debating on the internet probably isn't that productive because ego is too much involved. Having a discussion, sharing opinions is probably more useful. I agree with that in one sense, but in another sense, that was my education into the scriptures and into faith and whatnot, was going online like I was in college, like 7 hours a day. I would argue with people on AOL and then on other message boards and then on Facebook. And it's not just me like arguing my opinions. Like people would ask me questions. And the great thing about this sort of a situation is someone spits a question out at you. You can go research that thing for a day if you want, and then come back with a reasonable answer. So that's what I did. I would get questions and then I would go research answers. And I'm a very reasoned, logic-based arguer, I guess, thinker, however you want to say it. So, I mean, there are answers to questions that just don't make sense. And so I would always eschew those and look for answers, reason things out, and then come back. And they'd always ignore me and then ask me some other question that has nothing to do with what I just answered. But it was as a learning tool, it was it sharpened me up quite a bit. So you know, I don't know how many people's minds I changed, but although I did talk to people later on who were just silent viewers, and so there's always that audience out there who isn't partaking in the argument, but is being very, very keen to what you are actually saying in the discussion. So keep in mind there's always an audience, even if it's an audience of one, and you're edifying them through your dialogue. But yeah, don't be angry. Don't respond with hate or vitriol. Respond in reason and logic and kindness. And it's all for the good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody asked me about this about Proverbs arguing with a fool. It says, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him."
But what is the key? What is according to his folly? Is that not, do not answer a fool as a fool? Or is is that just ignore fools because they ask stupid questions?
Well, here we go. Here we go. You see if you can pluck out meaning from this. I'll give you the context.
All right.
As snow in summer, and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. He that sends a message by the hands of a fool cuts off the feet and drinketh damage. The legs of the lame are not equal, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. As he bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that gives honor to a fool. And then one more. As a thorn goes up into the hands of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of a fool. And there's more along with it. Like a rod for the back of a fool.
Yeah, there's a few fools out there who could use a rod.
Oh man, interesting days. Interesting days. It's sometimes it's strange seeing people just spill their spaghetti all over the place over comic books.
Yeah. Why are they so determined? Well, I mean, I guess I can see it from a existential viewpoint where they just don't want to give a single inch in their quest to dominate media and entertainment and the message, right? They don't want their message questioned. And if we stand up and say, "Well, we've got books that don't kowtow to your question. We've got entertainment that may speak truth to light without being propaganda," uh, they I can understand them not being able to stand that, um, which is why we have to fight.
Yeah, and that's just it too. You know, like this is the fight. These videos are the fight. The comics are the fight. Drawn and quartered is the fight. You know, from a fan perspective, I've said it before. I'd love it if Marvel was having late night real talks with, you know, 9, 10 of their artists, top talents. They can't do that. So we're doing what these corporations really can't do in terms of audience engagement and being entertaining and making a better experience for everyone. I mean, Comicsgate is a good fan experience. If you want to be a part of it, uh, you know, there's more and more stuff that's coming out through the community that is to entertain you, that is there for you to partake in discussion, hopefully civil.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's all part of being part of Comicsgate is, you know, doing the stuff that the other people aren't going to do for a fan base. So, I mean, I'd love it if Greg Capullo was doing late night hangouts, drinking beer, smoking dope, or whatever. I just don't think it's going to happen. And not for a while, maybe after he retires, who knows. But yeah, I mean, as a fan, this is a cool experience. Comicsgate is a cool experience. You know, maybe for some reason we're seen as the bad boys of comics, which is weird because Mike and Edwin half the time are giving Bible classes. So, but yeah, I mean, we're fun, we're entertaining. And this is what comics and personalities and all that, you know, even back when I was a kid, you know, Wizard Magazine was the closest that I could have to,
Right.
you know, finding out what's going on behind the scenes and, you know, what's happening, who are the movers and shakers. And that was a very, you know, by any comparison to the internet, a very controlled outlet, you know, not many options. Basically, whoever Wizard wanted to deem king would be king.
Yep.
So now we're in the internet age and we're able to put out all this behind the scenes stuff. We are a living, breathing comic convention every night.
I would love to see some of these Marvel writers and editors do like a live show though. Oh, you know, it would be so packed with cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Get like 4 or 5 of them together and just have them all speaking extemporaneously. That would be amazing. Like, I know we're dirty boomers. I get it. You know, boomers gonna boom. You know, birds fly, fish swim, boomers boom. I get it. But just the cringe that they would produce would be amazing.
They wouldn't be able to handle it. They can only operate, you know, in a closed echo chamber. And that's another thing too. Like, you know, by comparison, look at us, man. We take every hit that chat throws at us. We take it. You know, we address it. It's not something that shames us out of our industry. You know, you can come up to one of us and say some outrageous things, and it's not going to be something we have to be like, oh no, there goes our career. You know, these guys can't do it. Can you imagine a Mark Waid, Dan Slott, Kurt Busiek podcast or live stream every night? I mean, these guys, it would be World War III in their chat rooms every night.
That's interesting. Is I'm on Twitch right now, looking at Jim Lee's streams. Man, he only gets like 981 views, 1,423 views. Oh, here's one with 2542. His biggest one has 23,900, and that's like a fluke one. I don't know why that one. The rest of them are like,
What was he drawing?
maybe 1,000. I mean, just different stuff. But it's Jim Lee.
Yeah. What was he drawing though when it did the
Oh,
fluke?
the fluke one. I don't know. It says words of encouragement.
Oh.
So, oh, it's only 5 minutes long. That's why it has so many views.
Yeah.
But yeah, his long drawing streams, they only get like, they get less views than we do.
Yeah, because they're playing to a small market. They're playing to the people that are already in the comic shops, and that's all been dwindling out. Whereas these Comicsgate channels, we're reaching out to new audiences and the old audiences. We are trying to build the audience, and no one else is really doing that.
Yeah, and then you're getting, I don't want to dump on these guys because they're friends, but like Marat and Rob bringing books to Indiegogo. Comicsgate owns Indiegogo. If you're bringing to Indiegogo because you think that it's like the place for comics because all these comics places are making so, it's not because of Indiegogo. It's because Comicsgate owns Indiegogo. Zombie Trump's only up to $240. Brigade is only at $2,800.
It's the Comicsgate fan community, and it's the platform of these channels that is able to move all of these things. So my advice is always the same. You don't have to be Comicsgate, but get a channel, get a YouTube channel. I've said it before. If Rob did like a basketball channel, I mean, he'd be like a huge, because he's very opinionated about basketball. That would drive in a crap ton of new people that have nothing to do with comics, but would love to hear what the creator of Deadpool has to say about the Lakers. And every team that he hates. That would be entertaining as heck. And Rob I think would be highly, highly successful doing a channel like that. But it's something you have to do every day. You have to nurture that audience. But once you got it, I guarantee you he could launch a book and it's going to do gangbusters. But you got to get that promotion engine under you. Same with Marat. He's all about sports too. I'd love to see Marat do it. And again, they don't have to be Comicsgate. Do a sports channel and just build your audience from there and pepper it in with comics and your love for comics, and eventually you will be able to monetize a percentage of that audience.
Rob doesn't have to do sports, man. Rob can do comics. Rob can get friggin' like Ryan Reynolds on his show and friggin'
Yeah, but I'm saying in terms of being able to speak very freely, Rob still needs to be diplomatic with places like Marvel or maybe even DC. But in the sports world, he doesn't have to be diplomatic at all. He can say whatever he wants, and no one at Marvel is going to hold it against him.
Right. Yeah.
Edwin.
But yeah, he can definitely bring in big names, 100%.
Edwin Asiavado from the chat has a beautiful observation. He says, #blame war campaign needs to be a meme. It's the thing whenever you want to pass the blame to someone else for your screw up. Absolutely. That sounds fantastic. Me encanta, mi hermano.
Tommy Sarkinen says that there's an hour left for Sporkman Goes to Japan. So if the 143 of you watching want to check that out, please do.
They are going to restart their campaign. They're going to restart their campaign.
Well, never mind.
And when they do one night, though, maybe it would be nice to have them on and give them a hand to get off to a strong start, because they're actually two very pleasant people, and they've been helpful to other people too. Mr. Miller,
yeah,
I've got to head to bed, man.
It is about that time here too, brother. John, thanks for jumping on and grabbing that oar.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And thanks for everyone showing up to the Aloha Hour Addiction episode. Remember, people, don't suck diapers.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that, and go back Johnny Phantasm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, and update, I got the final high-res TIFF files for the last 5 pages while we were on here. So I'm going to go do some moderate alterations to those. Script is at the letterer. Hopefully everything will be done and at the printer by early mid next week. Cross your fingers. It's all out of well, once I'm done with this artwork, it's all out of my hands, and I'm just counting on the other people to get their stuff done. But that's out. When that's out, I'm moving on to the next one. So
a final vote for the end of the night is 69 votes for me and 56 for Miller.
Wow, that's a wide margin. That is a wide margin.
Yeah.
Your people been shilling.
Mail militia. Vote twice, vote often.
Shilling militia. Shilling militia. Edwin, can you give us your end of the night?
Yeah.
Thingy.
Yeah. Just, yeah, the benediction.
Benediction. Yeah. The benediction.
Absolutely. Look. We talk about this sometimes. The world can be a very cruel place. The world can be a very cruel place, and everybody may not have your emotional maturity, right? Everybody may not have the skills you have, the resources you have, the patience to deal with things. And sometimes we encounter people, and we just want to swing out at them because they're being annoying, they're being unreasonable, they're getting in our way, they're slowing us down. They're making life unpleasant. Sometimes people are doing the very best they can with the resources at their disposal. Sometimes they are clinging on with everything they've got. Right? When you can, as you can, try to leave people better than you found them. Not everything is a fight, and not everything needs to be solved with a fist or hard words. A soft word will upon occasion turn away wrath and leave somebody better than you found them. But again, thank you so much for your good attention and your good intentions. And treat the people around you with as much kindness, respect, compassion that you're capable of. Until we meet again, I wish you a beautiful evening and aloha.
Aloha. Next week, Drawn and Quartered is Star Wars. Be here, be square, be both, don't care. John Malin.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. Send us out of here, boy.